Hello, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about while loops, and also we're going to mention random, having getting a random number because that'll be part of the homework. But today's lesson will be about while loops and how we can use them. So what a while loop basically does is it will continue to loop through something until something doesn't is not true anymore. So it reads like English. While loops are written like so. Again, it's Python is case sensitive, so you have to type it all lowercase while it changes color, and then you have a comparison. So we could have something like while 10 is big, well, 10 is greater than 5. And you also have to have a colon, just like all other loops. And then something to do. For example, print hello. So actually something that will happen is this is a infinite loop. It will never stop. And if I do end up running it, you'll see that it'll actually like print a lot. And if I leave it on, it'll probably crash my computer. But this is a while loop. This is always true. So it will repeat this a lot of times. In this case, it was lots of times. You can see I can't actually show you because you can't really see. But in just 3 seconds, it printed like a lot of hellos. But the point still stands. It's while, and then a comparison, and then your colon, and then drop down with an indentation automatically, and then something that you want to repeat until this is no longer true. So what we use while loops for is to repeat something until we get our desired response. Something like if you're trying to create a password or something, it might be like while the password doesn't have a capital letter or something like that, it's going to keep asking you for a new password. That's basically what a while loop could be used for. And the cool thing about while loops is that it's going to continuously run until this is no longer true. So while the comparison should be true, so while this is true, it's gonna keep going. So if this never is not true, so if this is never false, it's just gonna continue doing this while loop. And actually, if we do something like print by the end, let me clear the console, press run, I'll stop it so it doesn't do anything bad. But you'll see that it never prints by because the while loop will just continue to run. And again, the while loop doesn't, in this case, this is an infinite loop, it doesn't end. So it will never get past line 2 in this case. That's a while loop. That's some basic information about how a while loop works. This is a comparison. While something is true, then you're going to do something. And then outside of it only gets run after this while loop ends, which is when this becomes false. Which in this case, the actual use of a while loop would be something like we might use in like an increment system, similar to like a for loop, something like counter equals 0, and then we'll do like while counter is less than 10, you might say print counter, and then we're going to increment counter by 1. So what this does is it's gonna print whatever counter is at the moment, and then counter is going to become what counter used to be, but add 1 to it. So press run. This terminates, it ends, because at some point counter becomes greater than 10, or equal to 10 in this case, because when counter equals 10, this is not going to run. But what happens is counter starts out at 0. It compares. Is 0 less than 10? Yes, it's going to print this. It's going to print counter, and then it's going to increment it by 1. And then it's going to go back again. And this second run through, counter equals 1 now. So 1 is 1 less than 10? Yes, it's going to keep going until counter is 9. Is 9 less than 10? Yes, it's going to print 9. And then now counter equals what counter used to be, which is 9, plus 1, now it's 10. Now let's go back to the loop. Counter is 10, which is counter, less than 10. No, it's not. It's actually equal to 10. 10 is equal to 10. 10 is not less than 10. So this would be false, which means that we break out of this while loop and we go on to line 6 if there was a line 6. So just goes back to print done. We press run. Done does indeed get printed because this while loop ends, and then we can go on to the next couple lines. In this case, print done was the next one. Okay, so that's a while loop. There's not much else to say about while loops. Okay, now let's talk about random stuff. So you can generate a random number using random. So you can import random. So there are some built-in stuff that you can play around with. The one that we're going to use is rand_int. So we're just going to print it out so you can see it. Random dot rand int, like so. All lowercase. So random dot rand int is going to get us a random integer. That's what rand int is supposed to be. Random integer. And then parentheses. And then it needs two numbers. It needs a small number and a big number. And it's basically going to give you a random integer in between those two numbers. So let's do 0 through 5. So it's going to print out a random number from 0 to 5. 4, 0, 0, 1. So it generates a sort of random number. It's not completely random, but it is random enough for us. Okay, so that's what random is. So import random, you have to import random because it isn't like something you already have. You delete this, it actually doesn't work. So you do need import random, and then you can use the rand_int thing from random. Okay. And again, choose a number between whatever this is and whatever this. So 0 to 2, you'll see it could be any of those numbers. Any number between 0 and 2. Cool. Okay, so that's pretty much all we need to discuss. The project today is, in my opinion, a lot cooler than anything we've done so far. It's an actual interacting, like a program you can interact with. And it might take a little longer. I mean, the main thing is you also need to learn how to a program. So I think we should practice that as well. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much all there is today. And the last couple, whatever minutes are going to be spent on that project.